Satoru is an absolute savage. Like he's a complete beast within the series, if not, the strongest character. We haven't really seen much about from Tengen. We know that characters like Yuta and Geto are comparable as being special grade humans, but Satoru just seems to be that guy, above all. He's the paragon of this series, at least at the moment. There are characters that could come up to him, one of them being Yuji, it's depending on if he's able to, pretty much integrate enough with Sukuna. Who knows? But as of right now, in the actual timeline, the main timeline, Satoru is a beast. Now, this is a flashback. We still see him significantly stronger than a lot of characters. They went up against some opponents, and Satoru and Geto just completely mauled them. Because even though they're not as powerful, like when we saw Satoru trying to use one of his techniques at not going off because he can't control it yet, that was a good sign to show like he's still not fully like capable of what he has his max power, his full capability. Him as a rookie, it's still extremely powerful, given just him and Geto's like raw like capability, but also the fact with Satoru's like born like traits with his 6 eyes and his unlimited curse of manipulation. But I think the official translation is like no limit, because pretty much his level of manipulation is at the atomic level to the point it manipulates space. But we knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of competition for him, even in this flashback. Anybody who could fight him, even at this stage, young, would have to be powerful. And who did we get? We got Fushiguro, who's he's also just an absolute beast. And I'm hoping he doesn't die. I really don't want him to die in this flashback. But he just gives off such a hunter, like a predator presence. And we knew that Satoru wasn't going to die, because obviously he's existent in the current time. Also, like he's existed in Volume 0, which takes place after this, and in the normal timeline, which is, even after Volume 0. So it's like he couldn't be dead, but what happens? How does he survive? That's the question. That was what we wanted to know to get out of this. And what we got, I think, was really interesting, what made a lot of sense. So let's get into the chapter itself. As it kind of went out, pretty, again, vicious. Fushiguro just, like, has his weird, like, inventory creature spit out Rico's body, just corpse on the floor, and the star plasma vessel just splattered. And Q was the other group. These guys are what the star plasma or star vessel association, I think, whatever their official kind of name was. I'm just gonna try and see if I can find it literally in the middle of recording this video, because I name something I forget, and then it bothers me more than anything to try and figure out what's going on with them. But as that is, there's still like a large aspect of them. What is this? Time Vessel Association. Anyway, but with that, we get this really interesting description of their group, because they don't have cursed users like directly in them. They're all like non-shamans. They don't have a lot of power, or Jujutsu Sorcerers. I've seen it translated both ways. But they don't have powers. They're clearly a religious organization within this kind of, layout of the world, because when in the world of Jujutsu, they don't have, or Jujutsu, not Jujitsu. In Jujutsu sorcery, if you don't have powers, then really you're not going to have a lot of say in things, because you can't really act in a lot of situations. You clearly have some exceptions, like Fushiguro and Maki, who are just like raw strength beast weapon masters and just all around like amazing fighters. But they wanted to pretty much follow Master Tengen and keep him, and quote unquote pure, because back when they started their group was the Nara period. I don't know when that is. I imagine pretty old, because he only needs to get one of these star plasma vessels. Like it's like every 500 years. And he used to talk about preaching the help towards minorities, the non-jujutsu in their groups, obviously being that, helping them, and they were trying to advocate for helping doing things for non-shamans. And in their mind, they have this kind of like idealistic view of Tengen as being like this god, and they only believe in one god, and that being Tengen, and they want to keep him unsullied, because we know that once, if he doesn't get a star plasma vessel within a certain amount of time, like these 500 years, he will pretty much ascend to being a new type of creature. He will be some form of deity, and they don't know whether or not that evolved version of him is going to either be for humans or for curse people, or maybe against both. Maybe there'll be maybe it'll be like, I'm going to make a new race or something. It's that mystery of there not knowing what exactly will happen that that makes it the risk. But the Time Vessel Association, they're like, that's up for him to decide, because they view him as a god, and the god. That is their one and only god, and they want to pretty much keep him pure and to get him to that next stage. And they give it a pretty good explanation, because this dude is pretty much their he's like a representative, Sonoto Shigeru. And while talking, they're like, if he goes berserk after he transcends and he decides to get rid of humanity, you guys gonna really care about that? And the dude's just like, if that's what he decides, that's what he decides. We know what we're getting into. We know exactly what we're putting at risk. Because even if they all die, in their mind, it's kind of like, this is what is supposed to happen, and they just want to accept it. And then you get Fushiguro and his manager guy. I don't remember his name. And they're kind of pretty much talking about what happened with the maid, and how Fushiguro originally wanted her to die, but the dude's like, no, it would have messed them up more to be kind of like scrambling over, like trying to get there in time and meet priorities and rescue her, rather than just anger for revenge, which makes sense. You want to put that worry in him versus just straight anger and rage. And then he's just like trying to talk to him, like, all right, cool, let's go spend some cash, get some food. The dude's like, no, yeah, I know that you don't pay for dudes. You don't ever spot them the bill when you invite him out. He only does that for girls, probably trying to get laid. We know he's married, he's got a kid, but we also know he's a piece of shit. And only it was last chapter he remembered his son's name, and then we found out his son is named after somebody he doesn't like, so it's even more complete jerk like level to him. And while he's leaving, the dude is pretty much just like, no, because I only get involved with you with the work. It's either work or hell. I'm not going with you any other place. And while going out, there he confronts Satoru. Fushiguro is just like kind of on awe. Like, the dude got slashed, throat stabbed, head stabbed, leg stabbed. And I was very curious of how exactly he gets up, because we know that he's going to live. So the thing about Satoru is, like I said, he's a paragon. He's extremely powerful. On top of his other abilities, he's got a lot of just crazy techniques in general. And he could have some broken healing or ridiculous thing that, he reveals here, and it would be fine, because we already know. Like, it's not like, oh, it was a mystery, oh, he's dead, and it's like, oh, he's not dead because of X reasons. It's like, we know it's gonna happen, and we just had to find out the explanation. And essentially what happened is, it was a reverse technique, because curses are all like fueled off of negative energy, and the curse of the inverted spear of heaven, negative, and then Satoru pouring like his power into it to more negativity, multiplying it to the point it becomes a positive, that it actually like seemed to heal and save him. Which makes sense, because he says, like, pretty much when you stabbed me, like, I gave up fighting back because I knew what I had to do. And the thing that really was what screwed over Fushiguro was the fact, one, he took him out with a non cursed tool, that like little shiv, which I'm wondering why he did that. And my guess is he's got some sentimental reason, like maybe that was like the first item he used to kill somebody. Maybe it's like what he likes to finish people off with. Like, he's got all these crazy weapons, and he just likes to get that snide last bit in with some like little like shiv, just as like a disrespect. But in fact, he did that, and then he didn't cut off Satoru's head. Is why Satoru is now here. But he's acting all weird, because he's like he says that he's acting like he's high. He's just on this weird, brink of coming back, just literally high off life, just energy around him. Probably the positive energy that was made from it. And he describes, essentially, he wasn't able to do it until that point on his deathbed, where he says he saw the core of cursed energy, which I'm wondering what that's really going to entail to, because we've seen like certain things like Black Flash and stuff being like an aspect that could pretty much just automatically like strengthen a member of any Jujutsu sorcerer that's used it. If they use Black Flash, it just has like an automatic like increase to their cursed energy core. And I'm wondering if this is some branch off from that, or this is a new thing. Because, like, I imagine it was just that in those moments of death, like they you know, in those flashes of life, probably like desperation thoughts, just ended up getting him to like this almost tranquil state, maybe, and that's when he just saw this kind of like level for him, which was really interesting. And then you get like this panel of like when Fushiguro is just like normal. He's like pulling out the inverted spear of heaven. He's like, well, the fight's just begun then. Let's do this. And Satoru is just like losing it. He's like leant back. He's got his hands all out, eyes bulged. He's like covered in blood, all raggedy, and just like looking not sane. Here comes Fushiguro coming in for another slash. This time Satoru was way more prepared. He's got eyes on him. I think the thing that is going to screw over Fushiguro in this is he starts with the inverted spear of heaven, which so that way Satoru, the way he sees, he can sense it because it's a cursed tool. It's got cursed energy in it, and it's 6 eyes. At least what we know of right now is it can pretty much like see it to like an extra degree. I really liked the panel when he came in because you have like this weird like almost like slipstream around them. What is that like when you break the sound barrier? I think, and then it's like kind of like has this weird cone. I don't really know if that's what it is. It kind of just looks like to me a little bit. There's that weird trail of where their movements were. And here he just comes in. He comes in for the slash. Satoru just moves good range out and then takes that moment, prepares an attack. And he says pretty much the positive energy that was born from the reverse technique is now being funneled into his infinity technique that he developed. And he uses his what is it? I think it's Red Glow is the name. It might just be red, and then uses that energy and just completely just blasts Fushiguro across like probably like I don't know, like just looking at that probably like I don't know 500 feet and just smashes him so hard into this structure. You actually see not just the impact on the front, but just like an explosion of force out the back. And it's impressive that Fushiguro lived because we know that he is he doesn't have any cursed energy. He's just an extremely durable human. But this is what he's capable of just like this beyond normal human ability. And I do like that you can see in that panel, the right near the end, is he's like pretty much like cradling the little like what is it, the inventory like pocket dimension stomach worm creature. I doubt he cares about it personally, but keeping it safe because it's important. It's still really cool. It was this nice little extra feature on him. And then he's just like looking at Satoru and he's calling him a monster. Like he's impressed by that crazy little strength. And it looks like this is where Satoru fully awakens. And I'm wondering if he's gonna drop his area expansion on Fushiguro. Because I mentioned one thing that he can't give him. Because right now he has a huge lead. Because over the two of them, Fushiguro does not have any range. He doesn't have at least seemingly any capabilities of range techniques. So this is good. Like he just has a gun. Other than that, like really, what does he have? And here's Satoru, who's got like some good long range abilities. But on top of that, if he has air expansion, that's over. He can just completely override like all thought processes within Fushiguro and just walk up, assuming it's just going to be like with Jogo and pull his head right off his body. Because that's the one thing that Fushiguro has no counter to at all. He doesn't have an area expansion, so he can't overcome a normal area expansion. Like something like Jogo's would be like normal. It's like he gains like the heat and just like damaging power off of it, and it's like okay, normally it would probably it's supposed to like burn person to a crisp. The only reason that Yuji survived is because Satoru was protecting him. But with a body as durable as Fushiguro has, it wouldn't surprise me if he could withstand it. The level of hacks into Immeasurable Void would be too much for him. He's got nothing to really go against that. Other than that, comment below. Tell me what you thought about the chapter, because I had to read it at least twice. Coming up on a third time to kind of like understand the reverse technique and how it worked. And I thought that was a really cool kind of idea, the way that you can pretty much. It reminds me similar, actually, of the main character of Very Lewd Battle Shonen. Makin Ki he's one of the main character. One of his powers is called Overblow, and he can pretty much pour his power into another person. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna boost you. It's pretty much like trying to, kind of like if you were to short circuit something. He tries to like pretty much pour enough power into them to where it pretty much like short circuits their ability. It just puts too much strain on it, and it could temporarily shut it off. Or if he doesn't, and he doesn't get to that level of like shut off limit, then he just put all his power into them and just made them stronger, kind of thing. It's a very double-edged weapon and like technique. That's what seems well, at least the reverse technique seems like to me. And it's gonna be really cool because he's got like remembering back like when he fought up against someone, he was like going against Hanami. I guess that wasn't really a fight, but like he used the technique. It was like a reverse, and then what, like it was a forward and reverse, and by that it might just been a rotation. I'm wondering if it had anything to do with positive energy and cursed energy. So I'm wondering if he's going to be able to manipulate both at the same time, and maybe that's like the upper level of his skill that he'll drop eventually, like when he decides to get actually really serious in the current timeline of the series. Because even though this was extremely powerful and like impressive for him at the moment, even that last attack he did on Fushiguro just launched him hundreds of feet across this area. That's nothing to current Satoru. So, like I said, comment below. Tell me what you thought about this chapter. I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, but from the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. From that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.